Good evening, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this Facebook Live with myself. It says it there, Ruth. I'm from Top Scores. Welcome. It's the 7th of December. So, questions for me about anything related to schools, Hong Kong schools, UK schools, Hong Kong schools, international, private, is where we generally focus the discussion. Yeah, do you have any questions for me? So while the questions normally takes a little while, what have I been up to this week? What have you been up to this week? I think we're all more or less in the same boat. It's a little bit of a nail biting time because we are literally waiting. We had a few results, but not many. So almost all of the schools, if you've been taking your children to assessments in the last few weeks, and I know that assessments are ongoing, but many children have been for assessments in the last few weeks and months, I would say, and we expect those results to be coming into hitting your email inbox almost just as the schools go on Christmas break. So could be any day now. We haven't got any results from the main, like CIS assessments ongoing, HKIS they'll be later. Canadian school we're waiting any day now, and a couple of other schools as well. ISF preschool waiting any day now. So have you been to assessments? I also was crawling around on my hands and knees yesterday with a bunch of 3-year-olds who are due to go for assessment on Saturday. So yeah, I do it all. I'm too old for this. but um, but it's interesting, excuse me. It's very interesting to meet the children, as much as I get to know the parents that I'm working with, and we do a bunch of testing and we read all their school reports. There's nothing really that can replace an in-person meeting. So for the little ones, yeah, it's crawling around on the floor and a bit of riot control, but yeah, my classroom management skills are a little bit rusty, shall we say. Um, but yeah, let me have your questions. You can ask me anything related to admissions, academics. I'm not a qualified teacher, but to the point where, the way that a parent will think about the academic program. Ask me anything about changing schools, moving from local to international. We do a lot of that. Ask me about relocating to Hong Kong or to the UK. Ask me about secondary school, what's the format of the various assessments. Yeah, ask me anything at all about individual schools. I'll do my very best to answer your questions. So I had a question that don't know if the lady is watching. I won't say her name. That People message me all week, and I'll try to answer if I possibly can, but I'd really rather that you come on here. And here's the thing, like I've got my private community, so straight after this, I will go into my smaller group, and answer, talk to my parents there, and it's in, people, you can learn by listening to what other parents are asking. So one of the parents told me this week that, I never thought to ask that question, and it was really interesting that somebody else asked the question and I happened to be listening in, and actually that was really valuable information for me too. So yeah, any questions at all about international schools? I don't have a topic. I don't have anything prepared. Did you catch Chriselle last week? If you missed this live stream last week, and we do this live stream almost every Thursday at 6, and I will sometimes have special guests, and I did last week, and I had Chriselle from Baumhaus Kindermusik, and so if you missed that, they are all available for replay. Again, people ask me, I missed it, can I watch it? Yep, they're all in Facebook. You just need to be in the Facebook group, and there'll be a tab, and they're all on YouTube as well. Go to our YouTube channel. So if you missed the session with Crizel last week, if you've got a little one, she's talking about music education for 0 to 4, 0 to 5. Yeah, I learned a lot. I mean, my kids are way past that now, so that window of opportunity has passed for me. So that was interesting. And if you have any suggestions for guests that you'd like, if you would like to come on, then please do. If you have something to say, something related to education, parenting, if you have any recommendations for guests that I could invite, then let me know. So any questions about schools at all? Right, here we go. They're coming in now. Hi, Rosa. Thanks for watching almost every week, I think. Right, what are the differences between the ESF schools? They're different. They're different. Now, what I think you might be getting at is if you are applying to the ESF system and you have stipulated that, let's say your first choice school is Shartin Junior or Braemar Hill or Quarry Bay, you might be getting a call, or you might have figured it out that these schools are extremely oversubscribed. Whereas some of the other schools in the ESF system are not. So your question, they are different. They are different in terms of obviously their location. They are different in terms of their culture and their community. They're relatively similar. And I think you're talking about primary schools, Rosa, correct me if I'm wrong. They're relatively similar in terms of the learning program. They are all IBPYP schools. And they implement it in a relatively standard way because the professional development is centralized, the teacher recruitment is centralized, but they do vary a little bit because obviously the head of the school, the principal, has a reasonable amount of influence on the way that the school is run. So they are different. Now, I'm always looking at this from a very practical point of view in terms of, do you genuinely have the luxury of choice? Wouldn't that be nice if we did have the luxury of choice and we could genuinely say, I prefer this school, therefore we're going to go to this school. But let's be honest, and that's why I do what I do. We don't all have the luxury of choice. So you would have to look at, are you willing to accept an alternative school if the school you prefer is highly oversubscribed? You must go and visit the schools, of course, that goes without saying. You know, you always hear me say that. You can't hear it. You can see it online, but you can't hear it, smell it, feel it. I know it sounds daft in a way, but it is an emotional response. And so you need to have that positive emotional response to the school. But at the same time, you need to know that that school is a possibility and that your child can possibly get in. So a little bit of a roundabout way of answering your question, Rosa. Now, thank you for your second question. Now, in the context of your first question, you know, these schools are so different. I can't think of a single similarity. I'm struggling. So we haven't met, Rosa. But if you're considering ESF, why are you considering Dalton? And if you're considering Dalton, why are you considering ESF? I think that this might be, and again, I apologize, I don't know you and I don't know your situation, but it's interesting. Like, I provide this forum for anyone to jump on and ask me any question. And okay, you're asking for your different children. I see. Well, let me say this. What was I going to say? So rather than, okay, if you're asking me about names of schools, and I see this on the group all the time, any thoughts about this school? What about that school? Or worse is, I applied to this school and I've got an offer. Is it any good? It's my most hated question. It's the wrong time to be asking, is it any good? Do we like the school when you're sitting on an offer? So my process is to do all of that upfront and to understand the school before you apply. Because our process is you would apply to 2 to 3 schools and you will get one offer. Okay, that is my program. Come into my program, that is the result, the outcome. Now, how do we achieve that? We achieve that by being discerning, by being in a by by analyzing, doing a lot of research, understanding who we are, understanding our children. I have all the tools to guide you with all of that. But it's about being in a position of power where you do make a positive choice for a school rather than feeling that you don't have that positive choice. And I do speak to a lot of parents. I spoke to a family this week who clearly articulated that they were in a bit of a state of desperation. And this is the time, unfortunately, it's this time of year where, and next week will be worse when we start to get more of those results where unfortunately it'll be a no or a not yet. And then I get a lot of, a lot of tears and desperation. But we don't want, it's a really unfortunate position to be in. So in March, April of next year, for those of you who have children who will be applying for September 2025, please consider joining our program in March in 2024. And the reason for that is we don't want you to have these emotions, these negative emotions and this desperation, this disappointment and in December, January. So we start in March. We want you to positively choose which schools that you are interested in. You'd apply to 2 to 3 schools. And the idea is that your applications will be strong, they will be on time, and on the surface of it, your child, your family is a good fit for the school. And we will collaboratively do that. So when your application hits the system, it's duly processed because it's strong, it's complete, it makes sense to the admissions office. Then your child attends the assessment and passes, meets all of the relative benchmark requirements because we've met your child, we've done the online assessments, we've read their school reports, they're in a good preparation program. They pass the assessment, and then there is the outcome. 3 outcomes to an application: accepted, waitlisted or wait pooled, or declined. So we don't want the decline. The decline, to me, in my mind, means it was a non-fit school. It means that your child did not meet the requirements for the school. Wait pool, wait list is perfectly acceptable. It means there's not a space for your child with the particular profile yet, but that doesn't mean that there won't be a place in the future. So yeah, I feel like I repeat myself a lot, but for those of you, if you're new here and you've not heard me say that, thank you for your questions, Rosa. Ask your nephew, your brother, your sister, whoever, to come on and ask the questions directly. I get a lot of that. I get a lot of like, I'm asking for my friend, I'm asking for my my colleague, my neighbor, but it's really hard to do it, one step removed. So hope that answers your question, Rosa. Let's see. Do you have any questions for me about international schools, private schools, at all? Any questions? So we are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube. I think we're sometimes live on LinkedIn. Let me know where you're watching from. And I know that it's not the best time, and I know that lots and lots of people tell me that they watch this on catch up, and that's fine. And I'm here every week, pretty much every week. What's happening next week? No more guests for this year. but definitely we have some really exciting guests lined up for you in January. So if there are no more questions, here we go. Rosa, are you the only one out there? All right, I'll answer your question. Okay. All right, this is a good question because I think a lot of people would have the same question. Are there things that you should be concerned about with a new school? There is an article which I can link to in the description, which I think I've called it Smart DD, or DD for Smart Parents, Due Diligence. So when we look at a school, and I've got a whole module on this in my course, in my program, and I think I definitely called it DD for Smart Parents. So we go into it in so much depth. The highlights that I can share with you here are, look at the leadership team, look at the senior leadership team. Who are they? Where do they come from? What is their philosophy? What's their career history? So look at the senior leadership team because it all flows down from there. Look at the organization structure and who owns it. And there's a lot of schools in Hong Kong at the moment that are affiliated with schools in the UK, particularly UK, or Singapore, or a larger group of schools. You're going to want to understand the relationship between the Hong Kong entity and the larger entity to which it belongs. There are lots of different, and the marketing for these schools is sometimes not easy to tell what is the clear relationship. So you can ask, but you also might not get a straight answer. So I think you really need to go digging. So what I do is I go into the company's registry, I do searches on each of the directors, of the board members, to get an idea of what you're dealing with here. So that's one thing. So senior leadership team, structure of the organization, quality of teachers, quality of the community, the cohort, how are they attracting good quality students? A new school in their first few years of operation will sometimes admit students that maybe aren't quite up to the caliber of the students that they prefer, but they, they don't have the luxury of choice. So yeah, those are a couple of things. I hope that helps, Rosa. Without, I can't go into too much depth. I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest, but I do go into this in a great deal of depth in my program. And we call it, people do their due diligence on the stocks that they buy and the companies that they invest in. And so we take, a reasonably analytical approach to do the same amount of research on a school. And we would also know definitely about the senior leadership team, about changes that are coming like next year, the year after that are not public yet, just because we've got our ear to the ground and we sort of know things. Yeah, so I hope, and I think generally, just to round that one off, it's not a given that you should eliminate a new school just because it's new. Certainly not. There are very decent new schools that start off very strong, and then there are others that don't. And again, it does come down to those things: the senior leadership team, the organizational structure, the quality of the teachers, and then the hiring process and all of that, and then the quality of the you cannot tell by the quality of its marketing. Unfortunately, they just don't, they can coexist. Is that the right terminology? So thank you for your questions, Rosa. Oh, I know what to say. Rosa, can I rely on you and anyone else who's listening? So we are very excited that we've been nominated for, we are one of the nominees, shall I say, in the Expat Living Readership survey. You don't need to be a reader, so click the link. That's quite a long link, but you can find it in the comments. I think there should be a shorter link. Let me see if I can find it. I think yeah, I've got it. Well, here's the, just give me a second. It's a Survey Monkey. We've not been nominated for anything ever, can I just say? So I'm really quite excited about this. Here we go. Let me put the, how do I do this? Create a new banner. Here's an easier link. Right. So if you click that link, or you go to the Expat Living website, they've got a readership survey. I've been in business for more than 12 years. I've never been nominated for anything. I'm not the sort of person that goes along to all these networking events, and I certainly would never pay for any placement in some awards ceremony. I've been invited to do that lots. Did you know that you can pay? Most of these are pay to play. This one isn't. Okay, this one is genuinely voted for by the readers or you. So please go ahead and vote, and you'll make me happy. That will be my Christmas gift from you to me. If you enjoy these Facebook Lives, if you've ever gotten any value from anything that I've ever said, please go and vote. It would mean the world. And yeah, let's hope, yeah, that might be a nice Christmas present. Thank you so much. So I think we will end it there. I'm coming back on next week. So thank you for watching. If you are watching in Facebook land, in YouTube land, in LinkedIn land, or if you're in the groups, thank you. And I'm going to go and meet my parents in the other community. If you're interested in joining the community, you know where to find me. Book a call. I do have some space for calls in the next couple of weeks, especially once the schools close. So if you are a parent of a child is born 2020, oh gosh, I got my dates wrong. Yeah, born in 2020 to 2023. That's it. If your child's born between 2020 and 2023, particularly, or earlier, then 2025 is going to be a crucial year for you. And yeah, let's start a conversation earlier, because you know you'll get more value the earlier that you join. And don't forget to vote. So I've been Ruth. This has been Facebook for today, and I'll say good night and see you next week. Bye-bye.